This is Mel Thompson, and this is a podcast about political risk. This is a podcast in a series of podcasts about political risk. And today we're going to be discussing Cambodia and market entry issues. Now, as in all nations, Cambodia has certain markets that have entry restrictions, meaning entering certain markets. Among these are cigarette manufacturing, movie production, rice milling, gemstone mining, and processing of certain types of raw material within the mining um, segment itself. Also, in Cambodia, there may be restrictions upon publishing and printing, radio and television, wood and stone carving production, and silk weaving. Sounds like a large list, but in reality, it's not as large as you would think. Now, the basis for these types of restrictions can be found in the Cambodian Law on Investment. This law was produced in 1994. However, it must be understood that Cambodia has been very open to investment opportunities. Even with the restrictions, there's still a great opportunity for foreign direct investors and companies to make a profit in Cambodia. The restrictions of those particular markets that I mentioned are subject to review under the rule of law, which is a good thing. They're not just arbitrarily put out there. You're not going to be surprised when you try to enter a market, or if you're already in a market, you're not going to have the rug pulled out from under you without some degree of due process. Now, because this is the way things are conducted, investors and companies can access the can assess the market entry risks. They can do this based upon the operative law. There are no surprises, basically. That's what I'm trying to convey. The guesswork is limited to a review of the law and its interpretation. Cambodia is a nation with a relatively open investment climate compared to some other countries. The situation is fairly obvious in Cambodia, what you're dealing with. Now, the process of entering Cambodian markets is spelled out by the Council for Development of Cambodia, and it's spelled out under a application procedure, which can be accessed online. And the first thing you need to understand is that to be admitted as a qualified investment project, you actually must be a qualified investment project, but to enter the market as one, an investor has to register their project, and they have to go through a process of receiving a final registration certificate. These types of things are spelled out. They're not going to be a surprise for you in Cambodia. So even though you see limits on certain types of markets where you can't enter them, the point here is that the political risk of market entry is mitigated because you can avoid areas where it's going to be more problematic than not to be involved. Sometimes you don't want to get involved in a market where it's going to cost you more just to mitigate the potential risk of being blindsided. You don't know what's going to happen. You get into something, and next thing you know, it's gone. And you've spent all this money and time with very little to show for it. Understanding what the risks are in a very, very universal way is much more important than just seeing a couple things in front of you saying, well, this looks pretty good to me. I'm okay. I understand the rules. If you don't know what the rules are, you can't understand them. Also, the interpretation of the rules as they are done under the rule of law is also very important to understand. Countries that apply the rule of law and have everything spelled out are much easier to navigate when it comes to mitigating the political risk of market entry. Cambodia has a very straightforward process, including the markets that have restrictions being understood and known. They are published. You know what they are. Reviewing market entry procedures and rules are seldom this easy. In fact, the political risk analysis should always include historical examples of the exceptions to every single market you're looking to get into. These historical examples will give you a roadmap of what to do, what not to do, and what could possibly happen. The key thing there is what could possibly happen. You really don't know, because no one knows in the future if a market may end up on some type of restricted list. But at least because of the process and procedures put in place by Cambodia, it won't be something so abrupt where you're going to be blindsided. You will know it's coming, and that's very, very important to mitigate your risk. Finally, the restrictions that um, that are currently in certain markets are there for a reason. In many cases, in many countries, it's for either a show political reason, such as uh, health and safety issues that may or may not exist. It may be for a reason that, shall we say, military secrets or some type of national security. Some of these things are for show, but many of them are not. Many of these restrictions are there for absolutely good reasons, particularly the area of health and public safety. When you start dealing with health and public safety, you need to pay close attention because those rules are there for a reason, those restrictions are there for a reason, and like every other country on earth, even Cambodia, as open as they are, they want to protect their people, just like we have restrictions in certain markets here in the United States and rules and regulations. All countries do. Cambodia, like the United States, is pretty well established as far as the rule of law and its openness to foreign direct investment. They want your investment, they want your company, and they're not going to make it too hard on you by maintaining a history and a reputation that goes along with history of just pulling the rug out from under people. You know what you're getting into, and it's all spelt out. This has been Mel Thompson.